Welcome to the 2017 Innovators Demo Day. We got some good energy in the house. Let's keep that up. To kick us off, I want to invite somebody who knows a lot about how to make an innovative city. Mary Ann Baldwin has served on City Council for 5 terms and has done a lot during that time. First, she helped to install Derek Miner's position. Many of us know and love Derek. Yeah, whoop for Derek. And she also helped launch Idea Raleigh, which was a recent great success. In addition, she helped create Innovate Raleigh, which HQ Raleigh was born out of, so I'm very thankful for that. And this past year, she's helped to negotiate the partnership between the Chamber and Innovate Raleigh so that the Chamber can continue to move that forward and we can continue to have some great innovation happening here in this city. So let's give a warm welcome to Mary Ann Baldwin.
Thanks, everybody. Welcome. I'm so pleased to be here today with all this great energy, great people. Really appreciate it. So when Liz was telling you about what I had accomplished over the past, 10 years, I was like, man, what am I going to talk about? But I guess I'll expand on some of that. Is Derek Miner in the house? Okay. So Derek can tell you this story, too. 6 years ago, we started something called Innovate Raleigh. It was really meant to connect our community, bring people together. The fact of the matter is, we didn't even know if we had a startup community. I know that sounds ridiculous now, but back then, everything was so spread out, there was no connection points. We brought people together. We thought we might get 50 people interested in talking about innovation and entrepreneurship. We had 175 people show up at the first Raleigh Innovation Summit. It was so exciting. And as Liz mentioned, HQ grew out of that. But so did a lot of other things. But the most important part was it really was a way of bringing the community together. And at one point, we had Branch Kimball come down here. They were thinking about doing something down here from the Cambridge Innovation Network. He talked to a group of entrepreneurs, and he said to me when I was taking him to RTP, "What is happening here?" I said, "Branch, you're witnessing a movement. You're the movement. You're the ones who are helping to move Raleigh forward. Our job is to make sure that we tell that story and get you all the recognition you deserve." So I just want to hit 5 points real quick about some of the, things that are available to you through our city. One, Liz already mentioned the fact that Derek Miner is our Innovation and Entrepreneurship Manager. He came on board, I think it was about 4 or 5 years ago. One of the first positions of its kind in the country. I was in Boston on an intercity visit in April, and they were bragging about their startup manager. I was like, we did that 3 years ago. Thanks so much. People are starting to see that this type of person who can connect people, it really has value. We also have something called a Building Upfit Grant that we started, and we have money available to help offset the cost of setting up an office or a restaurant retail. So that is something that's available to all of you. You apply for it, put your name in the hat, and we set these up on a quarterly basis where we make these awards. We have an innovation fund, $100,000 innovation fund, that helps support and sponsor programs such as this to help grow our entrepreneurial community and help make you successful. And Liz also mentioned Idea Raleigh, which is a fund that was set up to reward good ideas internally and externally. And of course, I would be remiss if I didn't mention Innovate Raleigh. We have the Raleigh Innovation Summit coming up November 9th. I hope you all will join us. We have a discounted price for entrepreneurs and just trying to make it as affordable as we can for all of you to attend. Information on that will be coming out to all of the co-working spaces in the next few days. So go to the Innovate Raleigh website, sign up, join us, make our community even better. Thank you. Good luck to all of you today pitching.
All right. Thank you, Marianne, and thank you again for your service. 10 years to our city, so some really great work that we should be proud of. Okay, so the Innovators program is a unique program in that it combines both local startups and internal innovators within corporations. And I'm going to invite Nick O'Connor up here in just a minute to tell you a little bit more about the program. But before we do that, we definitely have some people in this audience that we need to thank. We have some fantastic sponsors who make this program possible, and we wouldn't be able to do it without them. So, first of all, I'd like to thank the team at Citrix, Adolfo Rodriguez, Nate Spilker, Mike Cristenziano, Jesse Lipson, and Eugene Yamitsky. If we can give them a round of applause. At Red Hat, I'd like to thank Delissa Alexander and Kevin Smith. At Beckon Dickinson, a new partner this year, Adam Zerda and Al Loretano. At HQ Raleigh, Jason Wyden and Christopher Gergen. And finally, the City of Raleigh and their Economic Development Department for the continued funds that they give for these innovators post-acceleration. All right, so let's bring Nick out. Nick and I have had the opportunity to work together for the past 4 years. He is based in the Bay Area in California and flies out here every other week to work with these teams. He's the managing director of the Innovators program. He is also the director of the Alchemist X, which is part of the Alchemist Accelerator based in San Francisco, California. It's an enterprise-based accelerator program that's kind of top in the country. So let's give a warm welcome to Nick O'Connor.
Thank you, Liz. Good afternoon, everyone. It's a real pleasure to be here. I'd like to start by recognizing this year's teams. This cohort has the most customer traction of all the programs we've run so far. As of today, the teams collectively have hundreds of pilot customers that they're learning from, and most of them are right here in Raleigh. So the Innovators program is a joint venture between HQ Raleigh and I. The program kicked off in April 2014 at the Citrix Startup Accelerator in Silicon Valley. We've run the program in 4 different locations around the world, and this is our 4th program here in Raleigh. Our mission is to help Fortune 500 companies better engage and help grow the local entrepreneurial community. This is really important because executives at big companies all over the world are stressed out about 2 things. How are they going to maintain or achieve growth over the long run? And the possibility of disruption is a new reality. What successful companies have done in the past is not going to make them successful in the future. It's no longer big fish competing with each other, but with armies of startups going after a company's individual products and services. The sheer number of startups has exploded over the last few years, as it's never been cheaper or easier to start up a new company. And also, successful companies are growing faster than ever before because user adoption of new tech continues to accelerate, and new business models are disrupting whole industries. You're looking at an image of Wells Fargo's homepage overlaid with startups that are competing with their individual products and services. Like, there's so many startups here just trying to disrupt Wells Fargo that you can barely even see the landing page. You're looking at FedEx here in the logistics industry. It's the same story. Even the Apple iOS is getting disrupted right now. Technology is truly eating the world. The path to growth remains the same, but the strategies need to evolve. And that's really where we come in. The Innovators program is for internal innovators plus startups to go from having a good idea to getting real evidence or a signal of a high growth potential business in 3 months. So big companies get to select the teams that enter the program and also enter teams in themselves, internal teams to solve problems, improve or disrupt existing products, or explore new business opportunities. And today, our internal teams are from each of these different categories. These internal teams have been working autonomously, just like startups. And at the end of the program, they meet with their sponsor, and if their sponsor agrees to continue, they get additional funding. If not, the organizational learning alone is a great investment, because these internal innovators now return to the company and they can seek out and solve new business problems and new growth opportunities, thereby increasing the immunity of the company to disruption and helping with growth. Let's take a look at some results. So we've completed 3 programs, and we've had 18 startups, 5 of which have received funding, and we've 1 acquisition. Today, we add 3 new alumni. The 5 teams have now raised over $8 million. Medicom, a 2015 alumni, and has been growing rapidly over the last year. In the last month, they just raised a Series A. They now have 19 employees, and they're currently hiring sales and field service right here in downtown Raleigh. On the acquisition side, 2015 startup alumni Geeta and Matt continue to lead the ShareFile accounting vertical. Switching over to internal innovation, from the 3 completed programs, we've had 11 teams, and 70% of the teams have received additional funding of 3 months or more. And we have a healthy pipeline of active teams and some good outcomes. And today we add 4 more teams. Some of you might remember the CSP team from last year. They were working to solve major problems with onboarding of Citrix service providers. That has since gone into production, and they've reduced the cycle time from months down to hours, and the churn by orders of magnitude. We now have over 40 internal innovators from 15 teams, from 4 programs, and 3 different Fortune 500 companies right here in Raleigh. And that's pretty incredible. For most of the internal innovators, this program has been a career-changing experience, and for some, even life-changing. And it's been such a pleasure to work with forward-thinking executives that see the value in investing in their brightest and most motivated people. We have laid a strong foundation here for future growth, and I look forward to building that with you. So back to today. This is more than a pitch. These startups will live and die with pilot customers. So be sure to keep an eye out for things that you're interested in. And if you are, please go ahead and sign up or refer the startup to people you might know. The website is there at RaleighDemoDay.com. It's a link to all the startups. So thank you, and on with the show.
So what do we have in store for ourselves today? We have got 8 great teams that are lined up to pitch. We are going to start with our 4 internal teams from Citrix and BD. We have a special guest coming back from Red Hat to talk about the progress they've made over the past year with their project. And then we're going to close out with the 3 external teams. Sprinkled in there, we're going to have an opportunity to hear from somebody from BD, Citrix, and Red Hat, which will be great. And at the end of this, I want to make sure that you guys all know you're invited to stay from 4 to 5 for a cocktail hour in the back. So hopefully you got a red ticket when you came in, and make sure to use that at the cocktail hour. So everybody hopefully got a rack card when they came in. On that rack card, we have a couple special things. We've got the Twitter handles, we've got a great hashtag, and we've got a website that we want you to use. So part of today is giving these teams as much promotion as possible. So if you hear something that you like, tweet it out. If you want to send a message to a friend, get these people in contact with the teams that are pitching today. We want to make sure that the teams know that there are people out there that are ready to support them. At the bottom, if you go to RaleighDemoDay.com and you go to the front page and scroll down, there's more information about all of the teams, and there's a website for each of them and an email and contact information. So let's make sure to give these teams some love. So at the beginning, we heard a little bit about what makes an innovative city, and we had Marianne tell us a little bit about some of the work that we've been doing right here in our city. I want to bring out Al Loretano, who's going to tell you more about how corporations play an important role in investing in the startup community. So Al's been a 40-year veteran in the pharmaceutical, biotech, and medtech industries. He has seen a lot of companies come and go. And one thing that he has said is that healthcare delivery needs to be done differently. We need a new set of innovators who are doing things and not just following the rules. So Al heads up the external partnerships and innovation, and he does that on a global scale. And we're so glad that he chose to work with us this year. Al told me that he has something very special to share today. He usually drinks about 5 double espressos a day, so I think we're in for a really big treat. So let's welcome Al Loretano to the stage.
Thanks very much, Liz. So she was kind of saying what I'm supposed to be talking about. And yesterday when she asked me if I had my presentation ready, I said, I was actually planning on doing an interpretive dance instead. That would be a lot more entertaining for you and actually a lot more for me. But I was only joking, of course, until I thought about it some more last night. Has anybody, well, I can't actually even see anybody out here. Has anybody heard of contra dancing? A couple of people out there? Great, great, great. Because the more I think about contra dancing, and my wife and I, we love to contra dance. We contra dance every week. There are a lot of similarities to what we are doing here today to contra dancing. It's a community event. Age, gender, ability, mobility, color, beliefs all contribute to the experience. You have a partner, but you are very dependent on your neighbors and buddies up and down the line. The moves are scripted, though there is a lot of freedom for creativity, often called flourishes. It's repetitive, giving you a chance to improve your timing and your moves as the dance goes on. If you are lucky enough to have a creative partner, it may not be obvious where you're going to end up at the end of the dance. It's also a very connected event. You connect with people looking eye to eye, not iPhone to iPhone. And, and you also dance to the sounds of some kicking live music. I was going to say kick ass, but anyway, kick ass music. And the most important thing about contra dancing, especially for people who haven't started, is messing up is fine, not a problem. But the worst thing that you can do in a contra dance is drop out during the dance, because that leads to the whole collapse of the dance. So before I tell you about why BD is excited to be part of this event, and again, I can't see anybody, but do people here know who BD is? Good, okay, that's great. I do actually go to some audiences with a lot of tech folks, and they've never heard of us. Like tech giants, we touch billions of people every year, and the interesting thing is our products actually touch them. Tubes, needles, catheters, syringes. I mean, they physically, when you had a BD product, you get the point. We understand healthcare and consumer needs. We make billions of high-quality, cost-effective products and get them to every part of the globe. It's pretty impressive. But is that enough for the future of healthcare? So we're here to experience disruptive possibilities. Can healthcare be disrupted? And if so, how can BD and other big med tech companies be a part of that? Healthcare companies need to investigate and integrate new technologies and capabilities. So for us, working alongside Red Hat and Citrix co-sponsoring this event is extremely important because they interact with customers and consumers and in a very different way and see the world very differently. Healthcare companies need to work faster and leaner. So the opportunity for our BD startup team, who you'll hear from later on today, to observe and collaborate with the other startups in the program can definitely improve the way we operate in the future. However, the biggest challenge for us is developing new and sustainable business models, because that's what's going to take, and it's going to be the only way what we do and how we do it is going to make a difference in healthcare. So we are here to applaud and encourage the efforts of these startups today as they encourage and as they blaze new trails. This is very important. We want to be very supportive of this because this is really going to show us the way for new possibilities, new business models, which are really going to define success or failure going forward. The technology part, I don't want to say is easy, but putting a business model around it, a lot of businesses just for the sake of new technologies are not going to make it unless there's a good business model. So let me close with a quote from Regina Dugan. Have anybody heard of her? Okay, good, there's one. But you can Google her if you have a smartphone, unlike me, who I heard speak last month to a group of medtech company executives, and she said, the risk of failure is the price we pay to achieve something great, which also means that if we take no risks, it's highly unlikely that we will ever accomplish great things. So let me get back to the contra dance. It's okay to mess up, but dropping out or taking no risks would be a waste of a great soundtrack. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Al. I think you might be onto something with a dance demo day. Would you guys like to see that? It'd be kind of fun. All right, so are we ready to hear some pitches? Come on, a little bit more energy. Woo, yeah, that's what I like to see. Okay, how many of you guys have an Amazon Echo? I can't really see, so let's hear some noise. Yeah, all right. So it feels like everything is integrated into smart technologies these days. And this first Citrix team has taken on that trend. And what they've done is they've combined the Amazon Echo and the ShareFile product together to create something new. So going first is never easy. And let's give a big, warm welcome to Lauren Pritchett.
I want you all to imagine that you are the IT manager at your company. And this is what your desktop looks like. You've got your email and Slack flashing, a couple of terminal windows open, and at least 20 tabs open in your web browser. You're deep into the task at hand when suddenly the CTO comes up to you. There's a potential security incident, and in order to troubleshoot that, she needs last week's usage report from ShareFile immediately. So what do? Open up another tab. Log into ShareFile, navigate to your admin settings, select the report you need, download the report, and then, of course, wait for that download. Finally, you can analyze and interpret that data to help your CTO get to the bottom of that incident. Now, as IT managers, I find it a little ironic that we prioritize improving productivity within our organizations when that process was the opposite of productive. Stop wasting time. Alexa, open ShareFile.
Hello, Lauren. Welcome to ShareFile Voice.
Can you send me last week's usage report?
The usage report for October 1st through 7th has been sent to lauren.pritchett@citrix.com.
Voice made that process 3 times faster. Introducing ShareFile Voice, an integration between ShareFile and Amazon Alexa to make IT professionals more productive at work. My name is Lauren. I am the product lead with ShareFile Voice, and I love using my voice assistant at home or on my smartphone. So I thought, why not apply this convenience to work? I partnered with Chris, who's our technical lead. In the past few months, we've researched how people use their voice assistant, what their pain points are at work, and how voice could address those pain points. We did this through a ShareFile customer survey, as well as customer interviews. And what we learned from those interactions was that ShareFile admins find it extremely important to get fast access to their data in order to solve problems. So we knew that ShareFile Voice needed to be easy. No complicated interface. It needs to be natural. Just speak to the Amazon Echo the way you would your colleague. And it needs to be fast. Get those insights within seconds. So why use an Amazon Echo? Why use a voice assistant? Well, just look at the sales of voice assistants since 2015, when only 1.7 million devices were shipped. This year, over 24 million devices will be shipped. Y'all, these voice assistants are going to be as ubiquitous in your homes and in your offices as the smartphone you have in your pocket right now. And when we look at our own customer data, 46% of ShareFile admins said they already use a voice assistant. So where is ShareFile Voice today? We're currently beta testing our Alexa skill in the Amazon Marketplace, and we invite you to sign up to join our beta test group. Go to voice4.work or come chat with us after the program, and we'll help you get set up. One of our beta testers had a story to share with us. He's an IT worker here in Raleigh, and he was helping out a client who reported missing files. The first step he needed to take was to find out if she had an active ShareFile account and when was the last time she logged in. He said having instant access to that info saved him time and effort. Citrix is a leader in providing professionals the ability to work any way they want for the future of work. Well, we now have the ability to deliver insights beyond your fingertips because voice is the future of work. Thank you.
Great job, Lindsay. So throughout the 12 weeks, we have an executive council that comes in and meets with the teams on a monthly basis to provide valuable feedback and introductions. The council members come from companies, from our sponsors, Citrix, Red Hat, HQ Raleigh, and now BD. We'll be thanking each of the members throughout the program today. In addition to these executives, we've had Jason Kaplan from Bull City Ventures participate for the last 4 years. Please join me in thanking Jason for his valuable contribution. Okay, our next team is also from Citrix, and they're working on a solution to help business users make faster and better data-driven decisions. Please join me in welcoming Kruti to the stage.
Thanks, Nick. Hi, everyone. I'm Kruti Karsane, and my team and I actually initially joined the Innovators program in order to identify a strategy for our workflows and apps strategy for Citrix, the company that we work for. Now, throughout this process, we actually conducted a lot of interviews, but there's one in particular that stuck out to me. Her name is Heather, and she runs the enterprise division of a local company. She started off by telling us about her day-to-day struggles, and throughout that conversation, she kept mentioning Excel as a tool that she uses. As she said that, we wanted to dig in further to understand what that meant to her. And when we asked her more and more about it, she told us about how, when she first started in the industry, everything was paper-based. And technology took that and accelerated it, and then streamlined a lot of the processes that were manual. However, in some cases, it actually started to generate more work for her. She started to tell us about how, for her, it's actually a data problem. Every time she wants to get a report or an insight, she has to scour multiple data sources, find files that have the information she needs, look at those files, find the information within those files, drag all of that out, put it into Excel, massage that data, and then finally put it into a PowerPoint that she can go and present to others. To her, that's a massive productivity gap. In fact, it was such a sticking point that towards the end of our conversation, she looked at us and she told us, you know, this data in and data out thing that I keep having to do, there's got to be a better way. With the technology that we have today, there's got to be a better way. And when she said that to us, we all just kind of sat around and we looked at each other and we're like, yeah, there's got to be a better way, right? We've all gone through this problem. We all go through it on a day-to-day basis in corporations. There's got to be a better way. It turns out that as we continued our interviews, 27 out of 30 interviews surfaced this insight. So as business leader, it turns out that we crave and yearn to be able to acquire and synthesize data that allows us to make better and impactful business decisions. However, the problem tends to be that our data is so fragmented across sources that it makes it difficult for us to get that health of business and as a result have that impact that we want to have so badly. In our minds, the answer is simple, right? You need to have a tool that does 3 things. But the problem with the tools that are out there today is that they require business analytics expertise that is way beyond what business leaders have today. And so what you end up with is a business analytics bottleneck where you don't end up being able to get the data that you need on time so that you can actually do something with it. That said, like I mentioned before, you need 3 things that a tool like this can do so that it's actually successful in this particular industry. The first thing that tool needs to be able to do is it needs to empower our business leaders to actually pull their own reports, notifications, and dashboards. The second thing that it needs to be able to do is it needs to allow users to easily import data from various sources and, on top of that, various files. And then the third thing that it needs to be able to do is it needs to be able to provide apprehensive access control so that the right people have access to the right things at the right time. Now, if we were to try to do this for all the data sources out there and all the data file types out there right off the bat, it would be an enormous undertaking. So we decided to start off with Excel as the first data file type that we would try this with. And the reason behind that is twofold. The first is that we kept hearing this in interview over interview over interview. Excel is something that I keep having to use. The second thing is that as Citrix, we actually happen to own a file sharing solution. So for us, this is the tip of the iceberg, right? We've already got customers out there that could immediately gather value from something like this. And so bear with me as I start to tell you a little bit about what this could potentially look like. Let's say you have a few Excel sheets in your file sharing solution, and you need to pull insights from those Excel sheets. You go to your file sharing solution, you select those Excel sheets, you hit convert, and then you start to pull the data that you need from those different Excel sheets and choose where it needs to go. Finally, you hit convert again, and you're able to create charts, graphs, tables, a dashboard essentially, that you can then share with the people that need access to it whenever they need access to it and splice out the data that they need access to. This is our first stab at taking unstructured data and making it structured. So unstructured data that's held captive in files and making it structured so that you can actually do something with that data as a business leader. You can imagine that if we can nail this for this data type, the possibilities are endless of what we can do with other data file types out there. So the natural next question becomes, why are we the right fit for this? If others have tried and failed, why are we the right fit? At Citrix, we're a leader in security, and the reason for that is because today, tens and thousands of customers use our technology to access their data and their apps. To me, the natural progression to that is to actually empower these users to do something with that data and to do something with those apps so that they can actually have an impact on their business. That said, I'll close with this. We believe that startups have a quicker and easier time making data-driven decisions because they're closer to the data that matters. Our hope is that with our tool, we can empower users in all sizes of organizations to make better data-driven decisions so we can stand here in front of all of you that might have the same problems and pain points that Heather does and tell you that there is, in fact, a better way. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Crudy. Okay, before we bring out the last Citrix team, I want to thank a couple people from Citrix once again. Adolfo Rodriguez, Nate Spilker, Eugenia Mitski, and Mike Cristenziano all sat on the Executive Council for the past 12 weeks and gave these teams valuable feedback. So thank you again for your help and your guidance. Woo! And one more person at Citrix, Mary Beth Muntz. She was essential in helping us market and get the PR out from the Citrix side. So thank you, Mary Beth. Okay, we've got one more Citrix team for you. I kind of feel like everybody's on this professional quest to streamline and make things as efficient as possible. And this office manager team has basically built a tool to allow us to be able to streamline our files and hopefully conquer that quest. We've really enjoyed having Lindsay in this program, so let's welcome Lindsay Delana to the stage.
It's 3 p.m. Do you know where your files are? Because we do. We are Office Manager, and we want to change the way you handle your files, or the way your files handle you. Office Manager is a desktop app that will let you work more efficiently so you can focus on the tasks that matter, sorting and finding the files that you need, and not the ones you don't. 95% of security breaches are due to human error. Why does this happen? Well, we're all multitasking now. We have too many tools, and we're constantly switching from one to the other. This shift in focus is called context switching, and it's one of the biggest causes of human error. It's also a very expensive problem to have. These security breaches will occur at an average cost of $3.6 million per instance. Can your company afford that? Just because someone misplaced a file or shared with the wrong person? I know mine can't. Office Manager knows where your files are and where they should go before you do. So it eliminates the small decisions that can interrupt your train of thought, leading to that human error. And this will ultimately protect your company and reduce your risk. So you're not getting that little $3.6 million surprise. Let me show you how it works.
Office Manager uses an advanced machine learning algorithm to learn from your behavior and the files you've already sorted to automatically sort your files for you. Additionally, Office Manager organizes your files into relevant subfolders based on the type of file, the text within the document, and your historic behavior, learning how you prefer to organize your files over time. Simply drag and drop a file into the Office Manager desktop app. Then, Office Manager will give you its top recommendations for folders where the file should be stored. Select the best recommendation for the file, then sit back and relax while Office Manager files it away for you.
So how does Office Manager fit into enterprise organizations? Well, with more digital files being created every day by hundreds of employees, and teams using different applications to host all those files, there is an ever-growing need to unite all of those systems and the data within. Data silos disconnect a company's data collection, making it difficult to know what data even exists and where it is. This boils down to 3 main problems: security risk, as we know, lost productivity, and untapped insights. Office Manager solves those problems by connecting you with all your files across all of your platforms. So now you're interacting with one interface. And using the machine learning algorithm, Office Manager can work the way you do, so you can stay focused on other things. We interviewed professionals, 30 or so professionals in businesses ranging in size from one-man shops to 60,000 employees. And we recognized an explicit need: the need to simplify the way users interact with their information. One of our interviewees said this: Office Manager will definitely save me time and frustration. 5 minutes when under a deadline are a very precious 5 minutes. And this is a problem that we can relate to on a personal level as well. Maybe you can too. In my customer success role, I would often hear of these kinds of struggles from my customers. And Ryan heard similar complaints from his prospects on sales. Not to mention just dealing with this personally every day, the sorting, organizing, trying to find files, and the annoying interruptions that come with that. Karan's knowledge of machine learning brought the 3 of us together to build the solution. And we've kept at it ever since. And we know we've really only been working on this for about 3 months now, but our passion for this project and our research has shown us that Citrix is in a position to solve this problem for businesses worldwide, to prove that Citrix is the leader in content collaboration. Thank you.
Awesome job, Lindsay. So our next internal innovation team is working on a problem that is not only a huge business opportunity, but something that has the potential to improve the quality of life of many people here in the room and their loved ones. And it's also been a massive a lot of fun for me working with this team here over the last 3 months. Please join me in welcoming Tom Dyer from Business BD to the stage.
I'm the shit. Looking at the money like it's mine again. I'm the shit, bitch.
Hey, I'm Tom Dyer. I'm from Cura. We are producing Peace of Mind in a Pill Box. So if you're one of the 40 million Americans that has to take 5 or more prescriptions, managing those medications can be a real pain. If you're one of the lucky ones, like this individual that has some help, you should be fine. As Dwight Schrute would say, false. One study showed that 60% of paid caregivers make mistakes when sorting medications into pill boxes. There's a lot of problems with pill boxes and with medications, but one is that the labels are very complicated. There's a lot of information. It's not standardized. It's not clear what you should even be paying attention to. And what's crazy is that they're not bad now, but for 100 years they've just gotten worse. This is a pill bottle that's easier to read from 1946. And then when you get the pills out of the bottle, there's a lot of problems there. If you have multiple medications, chances are you're going to have more than one white round pill. There's a lot of white round pills to keep track of. And if your vision isn't perfect or really good, if your fine motor skills are not so great, and if your memory isn't good, you're going to make mistakes. And mistakes are made, and they can be very painful, maybe deadly in some cases. So we've made a smart connected pill box. And it provides several things, but I'm going to talk about 3. So frictionless filling is one of the key things. We have the pill box connected to an app that tells you exactly which pills to put where. It also provides caregiver coordination, so you have an app that keeps the extended caregiving team all on the same page. And then, of course, you have monitoring. If you're worried about whether mom has taken her pill, you just check the app. Here's how it works.
The Cura Pillbox system helps patients and their loved ones manage complicated medication schedules no matter where they are. The app makes loading the pillbox a breeze. Just scan the pill bottle and it tells you which compartment to load, removing guesswork and eliminating errors. When it is time to take medication, a display alerts the user, clearly showing which compartment to open and which pills to take.
Okay, so that looks really slick and polished, but it has been an internal R&D project at BD, and it hasn't had a lot of exposure to the outside world. And we wanted to test whether people are interested in this. So we developed a digital media campaign on Facebook and Instagram, and we A/B tested a lot of variables like demographics, price points. And we found that with only $1,000 of ad spend, we generated $5,000 in intent to buy, a signal people were clicking on the pre-order now link. And interestingly, the highest click-through rates of 3% that we got were with the 65-plus demographic. So it's clear, grandma's on Facebook, and she's clicking our ads. We also interviewed a wide range of people, from pharmacy execs to CROs that are running clinical trials, and also directors of assisted living facilities, as well as, and most importantly, people that are caring for elderly family members or just loved ones. Loved ones. Anyways, I'd like to point out Michelle here. She has not only her own children, one of whom, like 3 children, one of whom has a medical condition already, but she's taking care of her bedridden father, who's taking more than 13 medications, and she's the main caregiver. And this is happening a lot. This is a big problem where more and more families are becoming the caregiver as well. People want to age in place. And so giving an hour back to her every day is very, very important. So why us? So the team that developed this, mostly Dylan and Sean, brilliant engineers, they have a lot of expertise in developing solutions in mobile and med tech. The parent company, BD, is a category leader in medication dispensing in the hospital. So we not only know how to stick you and suck your blood, but we also know a lot about pills. So it's a good fit. As well, we have the patent on assisted filling. So are you or someone you know taking care of one of the millions of Americans that's dealing with multiple medications? Are you feeling overwhelmed? Cura can help. So please reach out to me in the cocktail hour. Most importantly, go to the website and sign up to learn more. We need beta testers and potential customers to validate our product. Thank you.
All right. Thanks, Tom, for closing it out for the present day internal teams. Okay. Tom mentioned the website, so I want to one more time just remind everybody to take a look at this rack card. You can find everybody's website at the bottom at raleighdemoday.com, and make sure to continue to give out some good social media. I see some good stuff that's popping up, so thank you. So this year we're doing something a little bit different that we haven't done before, and we're inviting back an internal team to talk about the progress that they've made. And this is something that I think is going to be really interesting and is really special about this program, is having these corporations that continue to foster this innovation inside their four walls, well beyond the accelerator program. So I want to welcome out Delissa Alexander, who's going to introduce Rob Trout, who will be giving a little bit more about what they've been doing over the past year. So Delissa Alexander is the Executive Vice President and the Chief People Officer at Red Hat, leading up their global division of human resources. Her passion for entrepreneurship is evident in the work that she does out in our community. She's on the Executive Committee for the Council of Entrepreneurial Development, CED, and on the Board of Directors for the Chamber of Commerce, and was on the Board of Directors for Innovate Raleigh. Let's give a warm welcome to Delissa Alexander.
Can you hear me? Yay. So thank you all for being here and supporting this program today. It's been such a delight to see our community coming together and our great sponsors that have been listed there working together to make Raleigh a top spot for innovation and entrepreneurship, which has really been a goal of ours. And it's been really a delight to see the quality of the teams coming through the program and how the program continues to evolve. One thing I love about the program that I thought was really unique, and one of the reasons that Red Hat got involved, is because of the idea about how important customer-driven innovation is for entrepreneurship. It's something that we deeply believe in as well. And so as I got to observe teams going through, including Red Hat teams that was focused on stuff that our customers need, I started thinking about some of the problems we have inside of Red Hat that we need to solve ourselves around our talent solutions. And I started thinking, well, why couldn't we use the program to help foster innovation for talent solutions to some of our big talent problems here at Red Hat? Given the focus on the customer, we could think about our associates as being our customers on the talent side. So it's kind of risky to think about this way because we didn't have any technology that we were going to be developing necessarily, but we wanted to really drive and use the program to help us understand what the needs of our associates were in two really important areas. Some of you may know the Red Hat is the open source leader, and what that means is the way that our organization has come together, it's created a culture that's quite different than you might find in a normal hierarchical organization. And what that means for me as a talent leader is I have to think about the products and solutions that we offer to our associates and to our managers in a way that really is accretive to our culture instead of detracting from it. Well, a couple of our programs are intended to be providing this great experience weren't actually delivering the experience that we were wanting to deliver because of the lack of technology to support it. So fast forward, we took a huge risk by putting 2 teams into the program last year to think about customer-driven innovation in a different way and really having no idea where it was going to end up and whether or not we would be able to do something great with it or not. But knowing the experience would definitely be delivering something of value to the people who participated. Well, what's happened has been beyond my wildest dreams. After the program, we had the opportunity to begin working internally with our own technology, with our consulting organization and our IT organization, to begin to develop technology that supports these new programs and that are very accretive to our culture instead of detracting from our culture. So it's with great pleasure that I introduce Rob Trout, who's our product manager for our Red Hat Ambassador program, to tell you more about what we've done. Thanks.
My name is Rob Trout. I'm a program manager at Red Hat. And last year I was on one of those 2 teams Alyssa was mentioning. And our goal was to focus on how do we reimagine what our Red Hat Ambassador program looks like in the future. On any given month, our employee referral program brings in about 45% of our new hires. And we know some pieces of data about our employee referrals. We know that they are high performers. We know that they help us fill jobs faster. And we also know that they stay longer. And based on industry averages, we know that that fact of that they stay longer leads to about $3.9 million a year in savings. That's based on the cost of backfilling employees and how employee referrals add to the longer-term tenure. Now, in 2011, when the current program was built, Red Hat was a bit of a different place, right? We were a bit smaller, and at that time, we were getting about 250 employee referrals a month. Today, we get over 1,600 employee referrals a month, an increase of 540%. This is some of that business challenge, that technology infrastructure challenge that Alyssa was just mentioning, right? How do we build the program to scale for the future? Enter Innovators Program 2016. What we were able to do was build a prototype, form a customer advisory council of Red Hatters from around the world, and get fast feedback based on hypotheses that we had heard. These folks that we were reaching out to weren't just folks who had a lot of referrals in the past. These were folks who were also detractors, folks who had given us feedback in the past around opportunities and challenges they had with the current state program. So we went to them with our prototype, and we had a series of calls and focus groups, and made sure that, as Alyssa was mentioning, from an open source perspective, we were designing this in an open source way and getting that fast feedback. We also launched an all-employee survey. We got 1,100 responses, and this really helped us understand from a global perspective, from all different levels of employees, what is the most important piece of employee referral program? What is the impetus for folks to refer their friends and prior coworkers, right? So that's that customer-driven design, which for us was our employee or associate-driven design. It also helped us with the proof of concept. So we knew Innovators program was this way to get this great fast feedback from our customers, our associates around the world. It also allowed us to package that up, test those hypotheses, and create this proof of concept that then we were able to bring forward. So what's happened since Raleigh Innovators 2016, right? So we took that associate feedback, that employee feedback that we received. We did a build versus buy analysis. We talked to a number of vendors in the employee referral market space, and we felt that due to the uniqueness of the Red Hat employee referral program, and also the fact that we have the luxury of being a technology company, we had another opportunity come to us with our Open Innovation Labs team. So what Open Innovation Labs, these are a customer-facing consultancy group. They help Red Hat clients build applications on Red Hat software and then lift and shift it from a labs environment, literally an off-site environment, and lift and shift that back into the customer's environment. It's all done in an 8-week residency period. So working with Alyssa and our information technology team, we saw this as a huge opportunity, cross-functional, to also help our IT folks learn some new technologies and to learn some new facilitation workshop design. So the Innovation Labs also helped us scale the program for the future. Whereas Raleigh Innovators, we got that fast feedback around what our customers want from a product market fit. Open Innovations Labs helped us understand how can we build that infrastructure or with an application to essentially automate and operationalize everything that was manual today that was causing a number of downstream negative impacts for our customers. These two innovative technology and Open Innovation Labs together is going to lead us to our improved ambassador experience, which we're launching this year, a new application for our associates globally to make employee referrals, track the status and transparency, and ultimately help the program administration team process this growing program and #1 source of hire for Red Hat. So what have we learned? I would say one of the biggest takeaways, and Nick and Delissa both touched upon this, is this idea of entrepreneurship, this idea of agile program design, right? What were some of these things that we learned? This new world for us in design thinking and workshops. And how do we take an idea, use what you see here in this picture, an event storming board, and work with our IT developers using all the feedback we learned from Innovators program, putting it out on the board, talking about what we had heard from the feedback, and working with devs to turn those features into commands, which then are going to lead to our first version of the launch of the product. We also established this idea of a common language. When we were working on the Raleigh Innovators program, we learned that not everyone had a clear understanding of all the different terms and the features, service level agreement, what's a referral versus ambassador, all these different ideas. We used this as an opportunity to solidify this language so that when we worked with our stakeholders in our focus groups and then pulled over those requirements and delivered them to our IT team, we were all speaking the same language. And then finally, this idea of a tightly integrated cross-functional team. The Raleigh Innovators program was made up of folks from marketing, IT, and HR. We took all of that cross-functional information and we brought it forward into Raleigh, into the innovation labs, which allowed us to work in a room with our IT department in kind of a DevOps fashion, building a product and getting this transparency into what was being built in real time in an 8-week residency, where we now have a working prototype that we are working to complete. And what is another final tool that we learned? I would say this idea of rapid prototyping. So when we built the prototype in the Innovators program, we took that to our customers, our associates globally, to make sure we were on the right track. We continued that theme, and as we were working in the open innovation labs, we also used the prototypes and mock-ups and PDFs and sharing them in an open forum to get that real-time feedback. And you can kind of see some information here. I have some quotes from our customers talking about how much better the process was. So just an example of how we are building for the future of our employee referral program and doing it the Red Hat way. Thank you.
Okay, so we're now switching gears to the startups. So data drives so many important business decisions these days, and having the right data at the right time can really set a company apart from the competition. Ironically, engineering teams are really bad at using data to measure their productivity and improve it. Our next founder is working to solve that problem. Let's see how they stack up. Please join me in welcoming Hirsch to the stage.
Really, what do you see when you looking at me? See me come up from nothing, see me living my dreams. I done been to the bottom, I done suffered a lot. I deserve to be rich, headed straight to the top.
So let me tell you about my 10-year frustration as an engineering manager. So I sit around in meetings and I find myself frequently the only person that can't use numbers, which is bizarre. Running the most quantitative part of the organization, the VP of sales says, hey guys, look, we're up 27% this month, we added $1 million to revenue. And the marketing guy says, look, we added 5,000 new customers to the top of the funnel and we think we're gonna convert 43% of them. And it gets around the room and we get to me and they say, hey, how are things going? I say, it's fine. And that's about it. That's about the best that I can do. Despite running such a quantitative team, I get to manage it all really qualitatively with a lot of uncertainty. And this uncertainty causes real problems, to the tune of about $100 billion of loss every year because 1 out of 3 software initiatives fail. But even the successful ones, the ones that 2 out of 3 that are called successful, they're still late and over budget. And the problem is that this life cycle that we develop software in, it's actually pretty complex. And it doesn't matter if you do this in 2 weeks in a sprint, or you do it over 2 years in the slowest waterfall team ever. You're still running through all of these cycles. You figure out what you want to build, you develop your requirements, you plan when you're going to do it, you write code, then you test it, then you deploy it. But you could have a failure in any phase, and that failure may not materialize until much later. And the tools that we use to manage these, they really just interact with one slice. And they give you data about one slice. So as a manager, what we do is we make decisions using incomplete data. And when we make these decisions using incomplete data, these consistently lead to project failure. So with Allstacks, well, we do something quite simple. We just pull all this data together into one place. And we apply a little bit of machine learning, and we give you the right information that you need at the right time. So we take Mr. Engineering Manager and we walk him over to the problem and we say, hey, spend some time here. We promise you it'll be impactful. And so Allstacks becomes this really curated business intelligence tool that takes no time to set up. And it takes no effort from your developers, because if you ask them to do things, they're not going to do it. And it builds all this data automatically so that your engineering managers can spend their time solving problems rather than looking for these problems. We're running in a pretty big market with Allstacks. There are 3.3 million engineering and software industry engineering project managers in the US. And we're targeting a really aggressive penetration price at $1,200 a year per seat. And that just by itself results in a $4 billion market. But of that $4 billion, we're focusing on the $800 million mid-market. This is the 100 employee to 1,000 employee company. They're more nimble, they're more cloud forward, but they still have that level of middle management where things just get really messy. And that's where we're focusing. Since we launched our beta in June, we've gotten a good bit of traction. We have 9 customers that are live on the platform, a few enterprise ones, and we're really excited to announce that we're setting up our first Fortune 500 customer on Monday. So we're looking forward to that. Jeremy and I, we've been working together for 10 years. You can ask my wife or his girlfriend. We are spouses in work. But we've been doing it in startups that deal with machine learning and algorithms that really help us figure out what's going on inside of all this data that we're building. And we've been running product and engineering teams through those 10 years. And by doing that, what that allows us to do is we can always look internally to true north. And we don't know exactly what's the right decision. We can look at our own experiences and say, you know what, this was what would have helped me when I was running these teams. Tom Colopy is our really excellent advisor. And not only is he a successful startup CEO a couple times over, but he was our prototypical customer when he was running tech teams at IBM and Qualcomm. So we're raising $500,000 that's going to help us scale up Allstacks, finish these enterprise pilots, and really get moving. And so if you're a B2B enterprise investor and you're looking to really make some money and build some data, please come find me at the cocktail hour. Or if you're a software engineering manager that wants to improve some processes, again, I'll have my name tag on. I'll be at the cocktail hour. My name is Hirsch Tapadia. I'm the co-founder and CEO of Allstacks. Thanks for your time.
All right, so actually lots of exciting things coming out of the external teams. Hirsch just talked about onboarding their first Fortune 500 company on Monday, and this next company that I'm gonna bring out, VitalFlow, actually won the big launch challenge yesterday and walked away with a $20,000 check. Pretty awesome. So I'm gonna bring Luke Marshall out to talk to you a little bit more about VitalFlow. In our lives, we have so many distractions, and an asthma attack on top of all of that shouldn't be something that we have to worry about. What if you had a super magic power where you could actually predict an asthma attack before it happened? Well, that would be pretty awesome, and VitalFlow is doing something that might just work. Let's invite Luke Marshall out to the stage.
Nothing is scarier than being unable to breathe. But sadly, that's a reality for 25 million Americans who suffer from active asthma. These patients end up in the hospital due to asthma at a rate of 1.6 million visits to the ER every year. And today, 10 people will die from asthma in the US. And all of these trends have been rising since the early 1980s. And why is that? We have medication that works. We have doctors that know how to treat this disease. How on earth is this something that is getting worse over time. It's because asthma care is broken by bad data. Though we have drugs that work, complying with those medications is a challenge. Lung function data and home monitoring of our lung health is currently done by an analog device that hasn't changed since the 1970s and recorded with pen and paper. Clinical quality data is only available to patients once, maybe twice per year with a respiratory specialist. And we don't have a good way of tracking the triggers that can set off an asthma attack based on environmental conditions. And all this leads to anxiety and confusion for patients who just don't know what to expect. We founded VitalFlow to solve this problem and to build a future without asthma attacks. And it all starts with our mobile spirometer. This is a handheld medical device that you blow into, exhale forcefully into. It syncs automatically with your phone over Bluetooth and provides clinical quality data put up against the clinical standard device in the lab. We've made it ultra portable so that patients can track their lung health on a daily basis. And because it syncs with your smartphone and we know where you are, we can track those environmental triggers that might be causing your asthma attack today. We help patients stay on track with timely notifications of weather events that might cause an asthma attack, reminders to stay on track of your inhaler use, and reminders to stay on track with recording your lung health. And this is all part of our respiratory monitoring system. Starting with daily use of the device and the app, the data is automatically synced with our cloud analytics platform that can flag risk events, signals that you might be about to have an asthma attack, and push that directly to your doctor. That enables your doctor to make timely recommendations, preventing you from ending up in the ER. As I said, there's 25 million asthmatics in the US, and we're focused on the 5 million of those asthmatics who suffer from persistent severe asthma. So this means having asthma symptoms on a daily basis and taking medication on a daily basis, or at least supposed to take medication on a daily basis. And we're starting with the beachhead market of the 2 million pediatric patients that suffer from persistent severe asthma. Now, with 5 million patients and charging $230 per year through combined sales of our mobile device, as well as a $15 per month monitoring fee, we have a very sizable market, over $1 billion. And this is a model that payers are used to seeing in diabetes and cardiac monitoring. We have an award-winning team with 20 years of scale-up manufacturing experience, 10 years of commercialization experience, and a rock star biomedical engineer with hardware and machine learning expertise. And this team has already won, now thanks to the launch place, over $200,000 in non-dilutive award funding. And we've taken that money and put it to work achieving our proof of concept and big milestones, including executing our exclusive license, patent license from NC State University, where the hardware was developed, designing that device for scale-up manufacturing, completing our mobile app platform, as well as completing a 90-patient clinical study where we showed through 160 patient interactions that our device stood up to the lab standard. And it's in that clinical study that we also learned that patients love the VitalFlow, and they were disappointed when they couldn't take it home. And through the Innovators program, we had conversations with pediatricians and primary care physicians, and they told us that they have many patients that they would love to give this device to. And that love from pediatric offices has resulted in 5 pilot commitments from regional players. So we're VitalFlow, and we're helping asthma patients know what to expect so that they can breathe easy. If you're an asthma patient and would like to participate in one of our pilot programs, or your child is an asthma patient who would like to participate in one of our pilot programs, you think your doctor should be talking to us, please come find me in the cocktail hour. Thanks.
Thank you, Luke. I look forward to hearing great things about the Vital Flow team in the coming months. So, our last team today is in the nonprofit sector, and they've continued to struggle with low engagement rates. So our next founder has worked in this sector for over 10 years here in the Triangle area, and he's experienced this problem firsthand. So what did he do? He founded a for-profit startup to help nonprofits move into the 21st century. Please join me in welcoming Tim to the stage.
Turn up the lights in your baby. Extra bright, I want y'all to see this. Turn up the lights in your baby.
I'd like to begin by asking you to think about something for me. I'd like you to remember a time when an elected official, someone who supposedly represents you, did something or voted for something that made you angry, and you thought, I need to do something about this. You may not have to dig too deep for this. But if you do, then think about a time when a politician, an elected official, did something that you strongly agreed with, and you thought, that person needs a pat on the back, I need to let them know how I feel. So you've got this moment in your head. Now, be honest with yourself. Did you actually do anything? Did you act on that impulse to contact a legislator, to make your voice heard, to stand up on that issue? Now, this room is above average in many ways, but if national odds hold, then 1 in 100 of you will have taken action. 1 in 100. And this is a problem for these organizations, issue advocacy nonprofits with a mission to further a political, social, or environmental cause. And a crucial piece of their strategy is mobilizing the millions of Americans who care passionately about that cause, but need guidance to take action. But the tools that they use, email and social media, are increasingly ineffective at reaching that audience, particularly the younger generation. These organizations are eager for a communication channel that will make it easier to more effectively reach, mobilize, and retain millennial supporters. They're eager for Civic Rise. So what is Civic Rise? Well, one way to think about it is Civic Rise is like the Fitbit of civic engagement. And one way to think, and to show you what that means, I will show you our smartphone app that individuals download and use to subscribe to organizations that represent causes they care about. From those organizations, they receive calls to action. This could be to call a legislator, to RSVP to an event, to post something on social media, including context and background on why this action is important and why now. They're able to easily complete the action through the app, report back on their success to the organization, track their actions over time, receive incentives from the platform for taking action, share that with friends, and then build an online social community of fellow informed and active citizens. So at the moment, these organizations, these issue advocacy nonprofits, are able to mobilize action at a rate of about 1.8%. Now, Civic Rise is mobilizing action at 15%, which is 8 times higher than these organizations, our current customers, are currently able to achieve. So Civic Rise clearly has a social mission, but we are a for-profit venture, as Nick said, and our target customers of issue advocacy organizations represent a $26 billion industry. And they are nonprofits, yes, but they invest in technology that helps them scale and achieve their mission. And about 10% of that technology spend is on communications tools, and it's this $90 million market that we first seek to address. But this is just the beginning, because with a growing and engaged user base of active citizens, we're looking ahead to the 2018 and 2020 elections as key opportunities for further growth in partnership with political campaigns, PACs, and party infrastructure. So where are we now? Well, we launched our MVP in May. We're online now with 10 beta customers in North Carolina, over 500 users, and we're currently growing at an average rate of about 7%. My name is Tim Scales. I'm co-founder and CEO of Civic Rise, a recent graduate of Duke's MBA program with 10 years experience working in the nonprofit sector, including with and for our target customers. My co-founder, Tobias McNulty, CTO, is a software development expert and previously managed and founded and ran a successful web app development shop here in the Triangle. And together we founded Civic Rise with the goal of mobilizing 1 million actions within our first year. Now this is a lofty goal and we have a lot of work still to get there. And so we're seeking like-minded individuals who recognize and respect both the social mission and the business case for Civic Rise and are interested in partnering to help us scale. And we're also seeking introductions to executive directors and board members at potential organizations who may use Civic Rise as a tool to mobilize their base. We're going to need your help to achieve this goal. And so I'm going to leave you today with the question that we put to our users every day. And that question is, are you ready to take action? Thank you.
All right, one more big round of applause for all our presenters today. So to close us out, I'm going to invite one more person to the stage. ShareFile has been a poster child of startup success in our region. And through Jesse Lipson's leadership and the continued leadership within Citrix, that innovation focus has continued to be a priority. Dr. Adolfo Rodriguez is part of that leadership team. He is the Vice President of Product at Citrix and leads up the division around ShareFile and other cloud solutions. He has a commitment to making sure that innovation stays a priority inside his four walls, and he's passionate about making sure that he also supports the startup community around us. Let's welcome Adolfo Rodriguez to the stage.
Greetings. Boy, it really is bright. Good Lord, I gotta let my eyes adjust. I wanted to tell you a quick story, actually about my wife. My wife is a reproductive physiologist. And you're gonna wonder at some point how the heck I'm gonna weave this back into the topic at hand. But she has been working on a lot of basic science research. She works for the National Institute of Health. And along the way, she's done some pretty cool things, including a paper that was recently published in Science that really basically talks about the sexual differentiation in embryos. So essentially, what happens is, by default, and she was very clear about this, by default, every embryo is female, right? And so there's things that happen that differentiate, and eventually the presence of something kind of leads to the emergence of a male embryo. And so she was very clear that, you know, by its very nature, this is sort of the dial tone of humanity now, the female. And when we talk, oftentimes what she really points to is that many times her research takes her in a lot of different directions. She actually started out in a very different hypothesis, doing a very different thing. And through, of course, the application of the scientific method, came to realize, wow, this ain't working, right? Whatever it was that she had hypothesized just simply is not working. And so rather, they pivoted, right? And so when she told me about it, I said, you guys are pivoting. You're using research that you're getting back now from the target, end goal that you want to achieve, and you've pivoted now your research, you've gone this other direction. We had this long conversation about how that's very similar to how innovation happens. It's a very, very similar parallel between the scientific method and this notion of creating a startup and innovating. And so what I want to talk to you about today is what happens after innovation occurs, right? So it's very simple that, we all know, we're all here in the same room for the same things. We've looked at kind of the startup approach, this entrepreneurship. Hey, I want to start something from nothing. We all have friends that have done this. I personally have not, but of course Jess from Citrix has, and a number of folks in this room have. And the question is, of course, hey, there's some kind of business need or some target solution that we want to address, some problem that we want to address, and we go off and we kind of iterate, fail fast, have the courage to say, look, this ain't working, and then let's go in a direction that possibly will work. And that's great. That's an awesome thing. But what happens when you're at a large company, right? What happens when you're at a technology company and this desire, this need to innovate still doesn't go away? We had a couple really interesting discussions that had happened recently in our organization. In fact, today there was one about this, which is really, the question is, as a large software vendor, right, you're in the cloud, and oh, by the way, the expectation of innovation in the cloud is dramatically larger than it was when I started in the software business. It wasn't that long ago. Let's not get crazy. Let's not get crazy. But the question is, how do we keep that level of innovation when you have these market demands and these customers that you have to keep happy, right? And the question went something like this, hey, we're a leader in our market segment. How do we balance those needs of being able to react to the demands of the market versus our desire and ability to innovate and go off and explore into other regions? And my answer is fairly straightforward. that once you become a market leader, it is through innovation that you stay a market leader, right? So it's not that we, as a technology company, are following the direction of the market. We, as a leader, are actually setting the direction of the market through innovation, right? So these things go hand in hand, and that's why I'm a big, big fan of all the innovation projects that have had. And when you look at, Citrix's involvement in programs like this, when I look at the impact of just old, I don't want to say old, I don't want to offend anyone, but the previous Innovator Program participants and just their mode of execution around understanding what it is that they're trying to achieve, what customers' demands they want to be able to solve for, and how they can pivot away from things that ain't working. Those things put together really help to set the tone for innovation that allows us to keep and extend our market leadership. So I don't view it so much as innovation as starting something. I view it as an evolving thing. It is an end-to-end picture. A lot of the things that I've seen here today are really about the very essence of starting something, which is great. But there's also the very essence of extending leadership here today. And if I have sort of one summarizing moment, it really is about that, right? It's an observation that we need to continue to innovate no matter where along that path of a product and a company we are. So I'm proud to be here today, lend our support, obviously, to this great movement. Appreciate everyone for being here. I realize that I'm standing in the way between you and cocktails, and you probably will find those dramatically more interesting than me. I'm not offended. Thank you very much for being here, and thank you for
All right. Thank you, Adolfo, for those closing words. Lots of good things to think about as we leave Demo Day today. There's a few final thank yous. Obviously, Demo Day is not something that goes by with just a few hands. A lot of people put a lot of effort into making this possible. So a big thank you to Magdalene Duffy for all of her work with marketing and PR over the entire program and for designing the amazing rack cards and the Eventbrites that you guys all received. So thank you. A big thank you to Christy Williams in the back for all of her work with Demo Day. And to Savannah Balbay for her logistical support throughout the program. Finally, a big thank you to Nick for all of his instruction over the past 12 weeks.
And an even bigger thank you for Liz for awesome facilitation throughout the program. And for Karen Reed for her fantastic presentation expertise she shared with us. So please stay and mingle. We have some room at the back. You can have a drink and talk to the teams. And at this time, I'd like to invite the participants and sponsors to the stage for a quick photograph. And the rest of you are free to mingle right now. Thank you.
Thanks for coming.